comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon.
Be the longest last time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, oh, you have to be smarter than the pen.
You do. Oh, jeez, that's funny.
The time is 10.
And a good morning. Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Dory, and I'm here with Tony, and we invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. each week. And additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
All right. Well, record warmth transforms Christmas experience in the Ozarks. This comes to us from OzarksFirst.com today. Christmas 2025 is shaping up to be unusually warm across the Ozarks, making holiday travel easier and more comfortable than in years past. Snow and ice are out of the picture, helping to keep roads in good shape for those heading out to see family and friends. Mild December air does come with one common trade-off: fog. Light winds, clear nights, and increased moisture can lead to pockets of dense fog in the morning this time of year. While winter hazards won't make an appearance, those hitting the roads early this Christmas season may have a little fog to contend with from time to time. A warm Christmas may feel unusual, and it can change how the holiday is experienced, but usually in a welcoming way. Outdoor errands are more comfortable, evening walks to see Christmas lights are easier, and travel stress can be lower. There are a multitude of great hiking destinations this Christmas that would be great to show off to out-of-town visitors. We have a list here that you can check out on ozarksfirst.com. The list is geared more towards fall. There is plenty to see, and the Greenway Trail System in Springfield offers a variety of trails in town that are walkable for all ages.
Kansas City Chiefs are moving to Kansas. Here's what we know about the stadium. This is an article from the Springfield News-Leader. And first off, we see a picture of Kansas City Chiefs owner Clark Hunt on remembering Arrowhead Stadium. The Kansas City Chiefs have announced they will move from Missouri to Kansas after striking a deal to build a new football stadium in the state. Lawmakers in Kansas unanimously approved a deal December 22nd to help fund a new dome stadium for the team, offering to roughly cover 60% of the cost of the project via sales tax and revenue bonds. The bonds will be paid off with state sales and liquor tax revenues generated in and around the area. The projected total price tag of the project is $3 billion and is expected to be ready for the start of the 2031 NFL season. The next banner reads, "Where will the Chiefs Stadium be in Kansas?" The exact location of the new stadium is still unknown, but Kansas Governor Laura Kelly said it will be in Wyandotte County, which is near the Kansas Speedway and where Major League's soccer sporting KC is headquartered. The next banner reads, "How will the Chiefs' new Kansas Stadium compare to Arrowhead Stadium?" And we see a picture of the capital of Topeka. The venue will have a roof to make it a year-round hosting site, with the plan for it to also host the biggest events in sports like the Final Four or Super Bowl. Chiefs President Mark Donovan said the new stadium's capacity would be approximately 65 to 68,000, or about 10,000 fewer than Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs also plan to build a $300 million practice facility as well as a new team headquarters in Olathe, Kansas. The Kansas governor's office believes the project will create more than 20,000 new jobs and generate more than $4 billion for the state. The next banner reads, "Why are the Kansas City Chiefs moving to Kansas?" In 2024, Jackson County, Missouri voters rejected a proposed 3/8-cent sales tax to help fund the Chiefs' $800 million renovation of Arrowhead. The sales tax that currently funds the team stadium costs will expire along with its lease in 2031. With the franchise's future up in the air, lawmakers in Kansas decided to make a move. The state legislature quickly passed a bill to expand a tax incentive program that would finance up to 70% of a new stadium's cost if the Chiefs were to relocate to Kansas. In response, Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe called a special legislative session to approve a deal to counter Kansas's offer. That deal, the, quote, "Show Me Sports Investment Act," would have covered up to 50% of renovation costs, as well as provided up to $50 million in tax credits if the Chiefs were to invest in their own stadium.
Springfield stores see strong last-minute holiday sales as shoppers navigate economic pressures. With Christmas just days away, last-minute shoppers are packing Springfield stores, and local businesses say this year's economy is playing a major role in how much people are spending. Businesses across the city report strong sales heading into the holiday weekend, with many noting that shoppers appear more strategic and intentional about their purchases. Business owners tell Ozarks First that while foot traffic has fluctuated throughout the season, the final stretch before Christmas has brought a noticeable surge. At Just For Him, Christian Hudson, the owner, says the store is experiencing one of its busiest weeks of the year. "People love to shop local, and so it's very brisk," Hudson said. "Today, the 23rd, will probably be the busiest shopping day of the year." Hudson says customers are spending more per visit, typically between $50 and $100, and believes that it's a sign that Springfield's economy is holding steady. "I think the economy in Springfield is doing well because we've had a lot of people coming in," he said. "Per purchase has been up, so we're very happy about that. We try to provide a nice atmosphere so people can have a good time." Just down the street, Clothes Mentor, a resale boutique, is also seeing a significant jump in sales. Owner Cindy Spaeth says the store has been open for a year and is already noticing strong growth. "We've been here for a year and we've seen sales increase," Spaeth said. We have brand new items, and you can get things for gifts that are more economical than going to department stores. Spade says customers are spending between $100 and $200 per visit, and she believes the uptick reflects how families are adjusting their shopping habits. We definitely saw not so many shoppers on Black Friday or Small Business Day, she said, so this has really picked up in the last week and a half or so for sure. Holiday spending comes as new federal data shows a complex economic landscape. The Commerce Department reported this week that GDP rose 4.3% in the third quarter, signaling strong economic output. However, the Consumer Confidence Index fell 3.8 points, reaching its lowest level since April, suggesting many families remain cautious about their finances. For many Springfield shoppers, the focus this year is on sticking to a plan. Jenny, who traveled from Illinois to shop with family, says her holiday budget hasn't changed much from last year, but she's more intentional about where she spends. We usually stay pretty much within our budget that we set, she said. My side of the family lives up in Illinois, and so there's just some things we can get down here in Missouri that they can't get up in Illinois. Businesses hope momentum carries through Christmas Eve. Local retailers say this final week before Christmas has been critical, and many believe the strong sales are a sign that consumer confidence, at least locally, remains steady.
And we'd like to send congratulations to Yelp. This is from the Springfield News-Leader. Yelp naming Springfield Ramen Restaurant among the best in the country. A Springfield restaurant has made the list of Yelp's top 100 ramen spots in the nation. Karai Ramen and Hand Roll at 640 West Republic Road is listed at number 68 on a list that includes spots in Los Angeles and New York, as well as Sparta, Wisconsin, and Stillwater, Oklahoma. The crowdsourced review site compiled the list by identifying businesses in the ramen category on Yelp and then ranked them using a number of factors, including the total volume and ratings of reviews according to the article. And what follows is a picture of Eric Linares making a bowl of Karai ramen in the kitchen of Karai Ramen and Hand Roll on Republic Road, just east of Campbell Avenue. This picture was taken in February of 2018. The new restaurant serves Japanese ramen dishes, hand-rolled sushi, rice bowls, steamed buns, and even desserts like green tea creme brulee. The article continues, on Yelp, Karai has an average rating of 4.6 out of 5 stars, over 379 reviews. It also has similarly positive reviews on Google, where its average rating is 4.7 stars out of 5 across nearly 1,600 reviews. Young Wook who also goes by Young, opened the restaurant in 2018 to bring a traditional version of ramen to Springfield, according to past reporting. In addition to making its own ramen noodles, Karai also makes its own tokusatsu broth from scratch by simmering for at least 24 hours. There are 7 ramen types on offer at Karai, ranging from a classic bowl like you'd find at a busy ramen shop in Japan, to a vegetarian version with vegetable broth and mushrooms, to a, quote, naked ramen that is served cold without broth. In addition to ramen, Karai also offers tamaki or sushi served in a cone shape, small plates like hasu, a fluffy steamed bun filled with pork, rice bowls with teriyaki, tempura, or fresh fish, and desserts such as tempura cheesecake, mochi ice cream, and green tea creme brulee. The restaurant is open 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 4:30 to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
And sad news today coming to us from the Springfield News-Leader. We have a couple of obituaries. Mark Gregory Thiem passed away on December 18th, 2025 at age 67. He was a loving father and grandfather, a devoted husband, a caring brother, and a devout Christian active in his faith. We will be honoring Mark's memory on January 2nd at Second Baptist Church, 3111 East Battlefield Road, with the program beginning at 2 p.m. Full obituary is available at gormansharf.com. Also, Nancy J. Keller. Nancy passed away peacefully with her family by her side. She was preceded in death by her beloved husband, Hans Keller, mother Velma Chrisman, father David Chrisman, and her sisters, Carol Eidson and Kathy Bearings, leaving behind her siblings, Pat Chrisman, David Chrisman, Mary McKenna, Julie Folsom, and many nieces and nephews who loved her deeply. She was loved by everyone she knew. Her wish was to be cremated and her ashes spread on a farm in Springfield, Missouri with Hans. She will be missed by many, both in St. Louis and in her adopted home in Springfield, Missouri. There will be a celebration of life on Saturday, May 9th at Blackburn Park in St. Louis. In lieu of flowers, please consider a donation to Stay Rescue of St. Louis or the Humane Society of Missouri, as Nancy loved her dear cat, Midnight.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, see the median price for November home listings in Greene County. This article is from USA Today Network, and the median home in Greene County lists for $299,925 in November. This is down 4.5% from the previous month's $313,998 from an analysis of data from Realtor.com shows. Compared to November of 2024, the median home list prices slightly increased from $298,200. The statistics in this article only pertain to houses listed for sale in Greene County, not houses that were actually sold. Information on your local housing market, along with other useful community data, is available at data.news-leader.com. Greene County's median home was 1,800 square feet, listed at $168 per square foot. The price per square foot of homes for sale is up 1% from November 2024. Listings in Greene County moved briskly at a median 54 days listed compared to the November national median of 64 days on the market. In the previous month, homes had a median of 50 days on the market. Around 392 homes were newly listed on the market in November, a 6.5% increase from 368 new listings in November of 2024. The median home prices issued by Realtor.com may exclude many or even most of a market's homes. The price and volume represent only single-family homes, condominiums, or townhomes. They include existing homes, but exclude most new construction, as well as pending and contingent sales. Across the Springfield metro area, median home prices rose up to $330,125, slightly higher than a month earlier. The median home had 1,875 square feet at a list price of $169 per square foot. In Missouri, median home prices were $299,000, a slight decrease from October. The median Missouri home listed for sale had a little over 1,700 square feet, with a price of $170 per square foot. Throughout the United States, the median home price was $415,000, a slight decrease from the month prior. The median American home for sale was listed at 1,820 square feet, with a price of $222 per square foot. The median home list price used in this report represents the midway point of all the houses or units listed over the given period of time. Experts say the median offers a more accurate view of what's happening in a market than the average list price, which would mean taking the sum of all listing prices and then dividing by the number of homes sold. The average can be skewed by one particularly low or high price.
All right, coming to us from USA Today, the Grinch is up to trouble. See police across the U.S. arrest him. Police departments across the country are arresting the Grinch to stop him from ruining Christmas. We all know about the Grinch who tried to steal Christmas, but video shows officers across the country arresting him with a warning to all just before the holidays. In the past few weeks alone, the Grinch has been arrested for stealing packages off a porch, stealing presents from an unlocked car, and more. In Aurora, Illinois, police arrested the Grinch at a local mall. Just earlier this week, Officer Braden Lentini was on a foot patrol at the mall after receiving a report that the Grinch was removing items from Santa's Christmas tree, the Aurora Police Department said in a Facebook post. The Grinch was taken into custody after police gave chase. We understand the public interest in this incident, especially during the holiday season, the department stated. It has since released body camera footage of the arrest. Here's what to know about all the other sightings where the Grinch has been behaving badly. The Berlin Police Department in Vermont arrested the Grinch after he tried to steal from a store at the mall in Berlin, Vermont. Surveillance footage shows the Grinch creeping dressed as Santa Claus with a big red sack on his back. He was arrested but later released on his own recognizance, the police department said in a Facebook post. Officers searching the Grinch's sack found it filled with onions, garlic, and lots of candy. This arrest was used to bring attention to a Toys for Tots toy drive. Police in Bloomfield Township, Michigan, made a similar arrest of the Grinch, putting out a news release. His bad behavior was ultimately used for good as a way to promote for a charity drive for veterans. In Colquitt County, Georgia, police arrested the Grinch at a local Dairy Queen. The reason behind his arrest has not been announced. The Grinch did have his mugshot taken and was later released with an ankle monitor, the sheriff's office said in a Facebook post. Oh, and here they've got the Grinch's mugshot. He's standing holding a plaque in his Santa suit. He looks quite Grinchy. In Wisconsin, the Spencer Police Department arrested the Grinch and credited residents for alerting them to his antics. In Bellevue, Kentucky, the Grinch was found at a local school, leaving a school resource officer to make the arrest. Oh, they've got photos of the school resource officer making the arrest in the school. And again, the Grinch likes that Santa suit. The Grinch was also arrested at a school in Geneva County, Alabama, according to reports. On a serious note, police departments are using the Grinch to raise awareness about potential thefts and how to prevent them. This holiday season, don't let the Grinch or some other punk steal the package off your porch, an officer with the Deer Park Police Department in Deer Park, Texas said in a video posted to the department's Facebook. The Longview Police Department in Longview, Texas posted something similar, but instead warned about Grinches stealing from vehicles. The South Miami Police Department in Florida recommends making sure to double-check that your home and car are secure and your surveillance system and doorbell camera are working and fully charged. If you've gone holiday shopping, make sure to go straight home and avoid making extra stops so no one follows you to a store or parking lot where your car could be left unattended. And there have not been any sightings or reports of arrests of the Grinch here in Springfield, but I would keep my eye out.
I would, definitely. Well, 2026 is going to be a busy year for completing MSU construction projects. Projects include a range of features, including a new black box theater, a new alumni center, and plenty of renovated classrooms and offices. This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen, an article by Joe Hadsell. And first off, we see a picture of a fall sunset on the campus of Missouri State University with the John Q. Hammons fountains in the background and Blunt Hall on the left, Strong Hall in the background. Missouri State University will see a lot of oversized ribbons in 2026 as it celebrates the completion and opening of several construction projects. The university's Board of Governors was given a construction update during meetings December 11th. The update paired with a financial outlook of current year budget cuts and a preview of the budget for the 2026-27 school year. MSU finds itself in a similar position as Springfield Public Schools in that it is struggling with budget cuts at the same time experiencing a construction boom. The two institutions are similar in that funds for construction projects and operational costs are separated and money cannot be easily exchanged between the two pots. Unlike SPS, Missouri State does not collect a property tax that handles paying for new buildings. As Matt Miller, Vice President for Administration and Finance, shared more information to the board about a potential $7.1 million shortfall, he said that about 90% of $207 million in construction was paid with state and federal money, from state workforce development grants to federal COVID recovery grants. While the university's reserve funds could not be used for the budget shortfall, they were used to provide matching funds for those grants, he said. During that update, Mark Wheeler, the university's Director of Planning, Design, and Construction, reviewed some of those construction projects with members of the board's Facilities and Finance Committee. His update included a number of projects slated to open in time for the 2026-27 school year. Phase 2 of Blunt Hall is a picture of Roy Blunt Hall. And a majority of Blunt Hall has already been opened and put to use for students. While MSU celebrated the end of a first phase of construction, a second phase continues, Wheeler said. Across the two phases, the project is calling for about 72,000 square feet of new space and 66,500 square feet of renovation. The first phase overhauled the building's power and utility systems with environmental upgrades that are the most advanced on campus, Wheeler said. But the second phase is a bit more challenging. Quote, "I've always said that phase 2 would be the messier part of the project," Wheeler said. "As complicated as phase 1 was, it was isolated. We're working in the middle of the year. That is the only way we could execute this job. We cannot relocate these folks to other spaces on campus because of the lab space." Most of the work in Phase 2 is happening in the western half of the building, including a renovation of, quote, "the pit," an open-air lounge at the bottom of brutalist-era stairways between floors. Workers are renovating classrooms and offices, including accent colors in the university's signature maroon. Wheeler said most of this work will be completed in time for homecoming. The entirety of the project's about $121 million cost comes from COVID recovery grants. The state of Missouri and Greene County allocated money from the American Rescue Plan Act, as did the Health and Resources and Services Administration and Sunderland Foundation. Judith Einert Reynolds Complex, we see an artist rendering of the new Arts Center that matches a recently renovated pedestrian underpass. And MSU is hoping to raise the curtain next year for new theater spaces inside the Performing Arts Complex. The plan calls for replacing the Art Annex and renovating Craig Hall, while also improving the space in front of the buildings at the corner of National Avenue and Grand Street. When completed, the complex will house the university's Reynolds College of Arts, Social Sciences, and Humanities and feature a freshened up look intended to be a front porch for the campus. Craig Hall will have a number of renovations, including an expanded scene shop, multiple accessible entrances, and an improved student center. The new building will offer a state-of-the-art black box theater. The $35 million project is funded in part with a $12 million gift from the C.W. Titus Foundation and the Tim and Judith Reynolds family. That gift remains the largest one-time gift the university has ever received. That donation, combined with $5.5 million in university funds, is being used to meet MSU's end of a 50-50 match grant from the state's worth $17.5 million. Now, a small fire in July did slow construction in Craig Hall, Wheeler said, but work is on schedule for its planned completion. Board members during their February meeting will consider a matter related to insurance coverage. As for the new building, construction has reached a point where the transformation is visible along Grand Street. Wheeler said, quote, "It's really starting to show its presence over the last few weeks." He says you can start to see it taking shape. There will be a new entry that complements previous work at the Grant Street underpass, so you will come up out of the tunnel and walk to a historic quad through this gateway. And Cheek Hall, one of the buildings on that quad, also undergoing a renovation. Cheek Hall was originally built in 1955 and is getting modernized with upgraded electrical, plumbing, and life-saving systems. About 43,000 square feet will be improved throughout the first phase of this project. Already, the university's central hub for networking is up and running according to information presented to board members by Chief Information Officer Jeff Coynier. The hall also houses the departments for computer science and mathematics. About $10 million of the project's nearly $17 million also comes from COVID recovery grants and other federal grants. The project's first phase accounts for about half of the building. A second phase of construction intended for the hall's second and third floors has not yet been funded by the board. You'll walk into Cheek Hall to a building that looks fully renovated at the moment, Wheeler said, but there are spaces up to 2 and 3 that will remain untouched. While Cheek Hall's second phase awaits, the second phase for Kempeter Hall is nearly completed. Portions of the building not completed during a first phase in 2022 will be renovated for a new integrated multidisciplinary clinic, as well as more research and office spaces for the kinesiology department. And the Clifton M. Smart University Advancement Center, we're seeing an architectural rendering showing a lawn on the south side of that center, and the year ahead will bring realization of a long-held goal to build an alumni center on campus. Construction of the Clifton M. Smart University Advancement Center remains on track for completion. When finished, the 28,000 square foot building will be the home for alumni events and services, housing the university's foundation, alumni relations, and advancement departments. It'll also feature an event ballroom with seating for about 180, as well as a lobby, gallery featuring the university's history, office suites, conference rooms, an executive boardroom, and an outdoor lawn for events. Its placement on National Avenue and Bear Boulevard will be across the street from the Davis Harrington Welcome Center. Board members were able to take a tour of construction after their meetings. Quote, "You can drive by National now and see the rate at which this building is being constructed," Wheeler said. "There's some really amazing spaces inside. We're tracking to have a series of events for homecoming next fall, and the project will be complete by then." The $26.2 million project is funded mostly with more than $20.8 million from the Missouri State University Foundation and was named after former President Cliff Smart, thanks to an anonymous 7-figure donation.
A heartwarming story this morning from Springfield News-Leader. Share Your Christmas spreads holiday joy and gifts to Ozark families. Volunteers at Crosslines Community Outreach braved the cold Friday, December 19th, as they distributed gifts for Share Your Christmas, filling cars from the warehouse doors usually reserved for the Crosslines food pantry. Share Your Christmas, a decades-long partnership between Crosslines Community Outreach and the Springfield News-Leader, is a holiday gift drive designed to fill the wish lists of local families and care center residents in need. Each December, the News-Leader shares stories and Christmas wishes from the recipients, while a team of volunteers at Crosslines gathers the gifts and checks lists twice. Donors have the option to adopt families or care center residents. For this year's drive, Crossline's volunteer coordinator, Cheryl Wachter, and her team had to adapt to changes while meeting greater needs. The drive served more care center residents than ever before. Volunteer Claire Wachter has worked on Share Your Christmas with her family since childhood. Claire is Cheryl's granddaughter and has seen the drive grow from using rented space in a strip mall to filling rows of the Crossline's warehouse. She told the News-Leader that the drive usually serves around 35 to 40 families. This year there are 47. There's a photo of volunteer Claire Wachter as she talks to Alicia Sands, who came to pick up Christmas presents for her 3 kids during the Share Your Christmas distribution at the Crosslines of Springfield on Friday, December 19th. While one team of volunteers filled families' cars, Judy Paul delivered boxes for the 100 Care Center residents receiving gifts from Share Your Christmas. Paul starts organizing gift lists before Thanksgiving and finished shopping the night before delivery. The warehouse space that Share Your Christmas typically uses has been under construction to create space for a new safe-to-sleep women's shelter at the Crosslines headquarters. The shelter, which operated out of borrowed space in churches for 14 years, will get a permanent home in Crossline's approximately 29,000 square foot warehouse. Because of the construction, Share Your Christmas had to find new space to prepare gift boxes and fill families' cars. Recipients picking up gifts for families usually walk into the warehouse while volunteers fill their cars. Recipients can then shop for additional gifts from a free store organized by volunteer Kathy Hops. While each gift sent out in the drive is purchased new, Hops will gather secondhand items for families to pick from as well. There's a photo here as volunteers look for a bike set aside for a particular family during the Share Your Christmas distribution. For a second season, Share Your Christmas partnered with the Ambassadors for Children to make sure families with children in foster care and kinship placements have everything crossed off their Christmas lists. Ambassadors for Children is another Crosslines program dedicated to supporting youth in foster care. Ambassadors provide holiday gifts for foster children each year, but Crosslines found a need in making sure blended families have something under the tree for everyone. Since the program started collaborating in 2024, a majority of Share Your Christmas families have had foster children or kinship placements. Ashley Peckrell picked up gifts December 19th for her 7 children. She told the News-Leader that she had 3 children in foster care, as well as 3 she and her wife adopted after fostering, and 1 child who joined her family as a kinship placement. 4 of her children have severe health issues or disabilities, so keeping up with their care and getting to appointments in St. Louis is a full-time job for Peckrell. While her wife works full-time as a caretaker and the family receives foster payments to help support the family, it can be hard to keep them afloat. Their income covers the basics, but Peckrell said they don't really have much left after that. There will be time that we do have some extras here and there, like we might save up so that we can all go to a movie, Peckrell said. We want them to know it's not all that hard. There's another photo of volunteer Ryan Wachter as he hands out gifts and wrapping paper during the Share Your Christmas distribution. Life is hard, but they're too little to know that right now. Peckrell herself went into foster care at the age of 5 and knew she wanted to be a foster parent from childhood. Typically, she said, she provides holiday gifts to her foster children through programs associated with the state's children division, like Ambassadors for Children. With Share Your Christmas, each child has something under the tree, and parents get help with household needs. At the December 19th distribution, each family got a letter from Crosslines and a turkey for Christmas dinner. Peckrell's minivan was filled to the brim. She told the News-Leader she hoped they received a baby walker that could fit her daughter's ventilator. Jessica White is about to celebrate a year of sobriety and her first Christmas since being reunited with her 12-year-old daughter this fall. While White struggled with addiction and homelessness, her daughter stayed with family. Now she's been building a new life with support from sobriety groups and programs like Share Your Christmas, and she's proud of herself for taking the steps to get the support she needed. White was able to get help setting up her new home after experiencing homelessness. I went from having nothing to, in a short time, getting it all back, White said. She told the News-Leader that Wachter had already supplied her with kitchen tools and holiday decorations to help her settle into her new home and make new memories with her daughter. With gifts, decorations, and Christmas dinner taken care of, White was able to take her daughter to pick up a live Christmas tree. She laughed as she described driving home with the evergreen strapped to the top of her small hatchback. I haven't been able to provide for her for a couple of years, White said. I wanted to be able to make it feel like Christmas for her, and these guys really came through.
And from the Springfield Business Journal, we see a picture of Arlo Bank President and CEO Mark Bybee. He's flanked by Director of Client Services Jesse Tyndall and Chief Operating Officer Maddie Walker. And the headline reads, Arlo Bank opens its new Springfield Banking Center. Arlo Bank's newly opened 8,500 square foot building at 4109 South National Avenue, just south of US Route 60, does not look like a former Mexican restaurant, but that is what it was. The former Los Cabos Mexican Grill and Cantina once sported a tropical pink and blue exterior, and they closed in late 2022. Now clad in natural stonework and wood trim, Arlo Bank is aiming for a vibe that's almost as comfortable. In an interview on site, President and CEO Mark Bybee gestured to the walls of his office. Quote, "This was a dining room," he said. He said he's satisfied with the renovation. The facility, which has 20 employees, was finished in August and opened to customers November 24th. Quote, "It just feels open and nice." He says you've got music coming in, a scent when you come in, an added touch, a sand table in the lobby offers a chance to give a personal welcome to a customer by writing their name on the surface. Now, this is the sole location for Arlo Bank, which formed through the October 1st, 2024 acquisition of the century-old Systematic Savings Bank for $14 million, following a $40 million capital raise. Bybee confirmed that the downtown location at 318 South Avenue is open solely by customer appointment and would close by March 1st of 2026. Bybee said Arlo Bank officials knew the location was great, and so they approached architectural and design firm Buxton Cubic Dodd Design Collective, which performed the renovation. They said they could absolutely work with the building, he said. He declined to disclose the cost of the building purchase or the cost of the renovation and infill. The front wall of Bybee's office is all glass, while the back wall has a large window letting in natural light. Side walls are painted a deep gray color, identified by Director of Client Services Jesse Tyndall as ironwood. The CEO's office reflects the design principles at work throughout the building, a high-ceilinged open concept layout that nevertheless offers spaces for client privacy. According to Bybee, Arlo Bank has an eye solidly fixed on expansion of its customer base and holdings, and maybe in the future, its building as well. He said the bank has raised enough capital to handle its growth projections for its first 4 to 5 years, adding, quote, "We're looking to grow just as much as we can safely." According to Bybee, Springfield needs local banking options. More and more local banks are being bought out by big banks, which don't know the Queen City as well as people who are from here, he said. Bybee said that not starting from the ground up but through an acquisition gave Arlo an advantage. It really was either do that or start from zero, he said. We paid a relatively small fee to purchase Systematic and kind of start with the baseline. We're going to make money this first year, which is pretty amazing for a small bank. Project projections for this year are nearly $500,000, Bybee estimated, adding that the normal expectation would be for a small bank to lose money for its first 2 or 3 years. As for customers, while he isn't sure of the exact number, he figures some 80 to 85% of Systematic customers switched over to Arlo. Downtown is a very specific location, he said, and not every customer was willing to move to a different banking location. Bybee said the team has grown the bank from $60 million in assets at the time of acquisition to almost $200 million as of this morning. It's just the kind of relationships and customers we have, he said, and the team has experience with promoting growth, he added. He himself came from Oakstar Bank, and during his 15 years there, the last 2 as president, that institution grew from $80 million when he started to $2.4 billion when he left. Quote, "It's just taking care of customers. You've just got to do the right thing over and over again. And if you make a mistake, you own it and move on." Bybee said Arlo had made a significant investment. He declined to disclose specific figures in new banking solutions with Arkansas-based Smiley Technologies Incorporated finalizing last month. It was a large investment, quote, "but it was a smart thing to do," he said. Arlo officials do not plan to build branches. Maddie Walker, Chief Operating Officer, said more customers are bypassing in-person banking for online transactions. Bybee added that Arlo is not investing in a series of ATMs, instead choosing to reimburse customers the fees they're charged if they use those owned by other banks. An open house was recently held for about 150 shareholders and guests, and it was fun to show off the space, said Walker. Bybee said growth is the goal for Arlo Bank. From his office computer, he showed a rendering of a possible multi-story expansion, phase 2 of the physical growth plan, though there is no set date for it. He verified that the bank could grow as much as another 30,000 square feet on its present site. As we grow and make money, put ourselves on a nice, sound footing, we'll look into that, he says.
Coming to us from Ozarks first, Polk County officials arrest a man involved in multiple burglaries. A Cedar County man has been charged after being accused of being involved in multiple burglaries, including in Halfway, Humansville, and Buffalo, Missouri. According to online court dockets, Hunter McCown, 18, of El Dorado Springs, Missouri, has been charged with 4 counts of second-degree burglary, 4 counts of stealing $750 or more, and 3 counts of second-degree property damage. The probable cause statement says that the Polk County Sheriff's Office responded to a business that reported an Athlon Optics Rangecraft radar-induced chronograph, valued at $400, was stolen on Thursday, December 18th. The owner later reported to law enforcement that on Friday, December 19th, the business was broken into a second time, the statement says. Deputies later responded to 2 separate break-ins on December 20th and December 21st for commercial break-ins in Polk County. A Polk County Sheriff's Office social media post states that the investigation involved Reds Incorporated in Halfway, the Whistle Shop in Halfway, the Phillips 66 station in Humansville, and at a location in Buffalo. The statement reports that the Bolivar Police Department received information about a possible subject at a Casey's gas station and located McCown. An officer with the Bolivar Police Department explained to deputies that he towed a 2006 Chrysler 300 for a parking violation with items of interest from the burglaries seen in the vehicle. Deputies later spoke to McCown, who stated he owned the Chrysler, which was seen in video footage during the incident. McCown told officials that he and 3 other individuals broke into multiple locations, the statement says. He explained that some of the items stolen were sold at an undisclosed location in Kansas City. The suspect told deputies the location of cash registers stolen from the gas stations, of which 2 were later recovered by the sheriff's office, with 1 not being found. Officials performed a search of McCown's vehicle and found pieces of glass from the broken doors in the trunk. The vehicle also contained ammunition, gun accessories, vapes, unopened alcohol bottles, clothing worn during the incidents, tools, and other items taken during the crimes. Authorities explained that the total amount of items found in the vehicle was worth approximately $13,869. Property damage done to the locations were worth around $5,400 at the time of the statement. The sheriff's office explains in the social media post that 2 juvenile suspects have been identified and were referred to the juvenile system. 1 adult suspect was found, and further action is pending in the case. I'm incredibly proud of the relentless work displayed by our detectives and deputies, the sheriff's office says in their post. Their dedication to following every lead, from the initial scene to the recovery of evidence across county lines, demonstrates the high level of professionalism our office strives for every day. I also want to thank the community for their tips and the Bolivar Police Department for their vital assistance. McCown is in the Polk County Jail with a $50,000 bond.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, SPS and Jordan Valley are partnering for mobile health clinics at schools. This is an article by Claudette Riley. A pilot program between Springfield Public Schools and Jordan Valley Community Health Center will expand access to health services for students. Launching in 2026, students in 11 schools will be able to receive medical, dental, and vision care on site through mobile clinics during the school day. The pilot aims to reduce critical barriers to health care, including transportation, and minimize how much time families miss school or work. We're excited about this collaborative effort to connect our students and their families with needed services, said Superintendent Granita Latham in a news release. Follows is a picture of Jordan Valley Community Health Center. The partnership represents a strong investment in the long-term well-being and academic success of Springfield's children. The services provided by Jordan Valley Community Health Center not only keep our students healthy and ready to learn, but they also significantly reduce the time out of the classroom that is typically associated with doctors' visits. Participating schools will include Campbell Early Childhood Center, Bowerman, Boyd, Fremont, Truman, Watkins, Weller, and Williams Elementary Schools, the Academy of Exploration, Reed Middle School, Pleasant View K-8 School, and Hillcrest High School. Quote, we're looking forward to developing relationships with these families and supporting their health care needs both now and in the future, said Matthew Stinson, CEO of Jordan Valley Community Health Center, in the release. Quote, by using our mobile clinics, parents and guardians will not need to take time off from work or worry about their children getting to a provider outside of their neighborhood. This month, eligible families received information packets about the services offered and how they can schedule an appointment for their children. Quote, when students are healthy, they're ready to learn, said Leanne Neal, Director Director of Student Health Services for SPS. Treating minor illnesses, addressing dental pain, or correcting vision issues directly impacts a student's ability to concentrate, participate, and succeed academically. Students with dental or medical Medicaid and medical insurance are eligible for services. There is no cost to the student or their household for these services. The scope of services provided includes pediatric care such as immunizations, physical exams, sports physicals, rapid strep and flu tests, developmental screenings, and wellness checks, dental care, full exams, cleanings, fluorides, sealants, x-rays, restorations and extractions, and vision care, eye exams, and fittings for glasses.
Coming to us from Ozarks First, Missouri school worker sentenced in hidden camera case. This is an update to a previous story. The original story posted November 21st of this year. Out of Pineville, Missouri, a McDonald County high school worker accused of hiding a camera in a girl's locker room is to be sentenced in December after pleading guilty to 2 counts of invasion of privacy and 20 counts of endangering the welfare of a minor. Online court records show that charges were amended under a plea agreement with prosecutors to replace charges of sexual exploitation of a minor and possession of child pornography with the 20 counts of endangering. Roger Copeland, 54, was an employee of the Anderson, Missouri School District in September 2024 when he placed the camera in the locker room. The McDonald County Sheriff's Office said at the time that students found the hidden camera and alerted school police, who traced it back to Copeland, who was not a teacher. In his guilty plea, Copeland admitted that 2 instances of partial nudity were recorded, and 20 girls under the age of 17 were identifiable on the recording. In the document, Copeland added, "I understand that finding out you were recorded without your knowledge could affect your mental health." He is to be sentenced on December 23rd, 2025 in McDonald County Circuit Court. An update posted today, December 24th, says that Roger Copeland, a former high school night janitor in the Anderson, Missouri School District, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for hiding a camera in the girls' locker room. According to online court records, Copeland was sentenced to 4 years for 2 counts of invasion of privacy and 6 years for 20 counts of endangering the welfare of a minor, all concurrent. He pleaded guilty in October 2025. In September 2024, a camera was found hidden in the girls' locker room. Copeland said he wanted to look at the girls' bodies and faces because he thought they were pretty.
From 417, how Mercy Hospital Springfield is expanding birth options for expecting families. Mercy Hospital Springfield offers low-intervention birth options, hospital-based midwifery, and new pain management choices like nitrous oxide, helping families feel confident throughout pregnancy and labor. And followed, we see a picture of a very proud mom with her newborn. More families are choosing Mercy Hospital Springfield for a good reason, according to Jennifer Murray, Director of Women's and Children's Services at Mercy. In 2025, Mercy Hospital Springfield is on track to welcome more than 3,300 babies, marking the highest birth volume in the hospital's history. That growth reflects a steady focus on listening to families and shaping care around what they value most. Over the past several years, Mercy has expanded low intervention options, introduced nitrous oxide for pain management, invested in birthing beds designed to support movement and comfort during labor. The goal is to meet families where they are and help them feel supported, informed, and confident throughout the experience, all within safety of a hospital setting. Next headline reads, who is a good candidate for Mercy's hospital-based midwifery program? Mercy Hospital's base midwifery program is designed for patients with low-risk pregnancies who want a midwifery model of care. Low risk typically refers to patients without medical complications before or during pregnancy. Many choose midwifery because they prefer a low-intervention birth experience. Mercy's certified nurse midwives support that approach while having a physician backup available if an emergency arises. Certain conditions place patients outside the scope of midwifery care. They can include pregestational diabetes, hypertension, before or early in pregnancy, multiple gestations such as twins or triplets, and other medical concerns that increase the likelihood of pregnancy complications. What are the benefits of nitrous oxide for laboring moms at Mercy? In August, Mercy Hospital Springfield began offering nitrous oxide, a safe and self-administered gas mixture, as a new pain management option for laboring mothers, giving them greater flexibility, comfort, and control during birth. Unlike an epidural or IV medication, nitrous oxide, allows mothers to stay mobile, remain aware, and manage pain on their own terms with minimal risk to the baby. The addition comes in response to patient demand after Mercy noticed that patients were calling and asking if this was an option for birth. The new pain option was supported by Mercy Health Foundation's Women with a Mission group. It also strengthens Mercy's low-intervention birth program, which provides a home-like labor environment within the safety of a hospital setting. Quote, "We see you, we hear you, and our goal here is to provide the kind of individualized experience that you want when you're giving birth." Murray says, "We want to be a really fantastic part of your birth story." How can planning a birth ahead of time improve your labor experience? Mapping out a birth plan is most helpful when the conversation starts early. The Mercy team says that it's less about committing to a strict plan and more about learning what's possible. Having those discussions ahead of time gives expecting parents the time to explore their options instead of trying to make big decisions in the middle of labor when everything can feel rushed and overwhelming. A birth plan also opens up thoughtful conversations about the options available within Mercy. Brittany Shar, nurse manager of labor and delivery and the Family Resource Center at Mercy, shares that having these discussions early makes a big difference. Quote, "If we don't find something out until they come and get admitted, it can make it very difficult to have that conversation with a patient in the throes of labor and delivery," she says. Many questions naturally occur on the birth environment and medical care. Parents are often curious about things like lighting, music, hydrotherapy, movement during labor, fetal monitoring, and pain management options. Having those conversations early ahead of time helps things set more clear. Realistic expectations and gives providers the chance to explain what's available and why. Those early discussions also help ensure families arrive feeling informed and aligned with their care team rather than surprised by how their individual plan may look.
Coming to us from Ozarks First, we have a list of restaurants here in town that will be open on Christmas Day. Starting with the Black Sheep Burgers and Shakes downtown location, will be giving away free burgers for the hungry from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Alamo Draft House on South Avenue will open at 10 a.m. Allie's Family Restaurant on West Chestnut Expressway will be open from 6 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Amazing Buffet on South Campbell will open from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Applebee's on both Primrose and Glenstone will be open 4 to 10. Asian King Buffet on South Glenstone will be open from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Billiards Sports Bar and Grill on East St. Louis Street will be open at 3 p.m. Billy Gale's on James River Road in Ozark open 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bucky's on North Beaver Road is open 24 hours. Cabo's Benito's Grill and Cantina on East Sunshine Street will be open from 1 to 8 p.m. Cashew Station on East Battlefield Road will open from 11 to 9. China King on West Republic Road open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Denny's at 4760 South Campbell Avenue is open 24 hours. Looks like all of the Domino's locations in town will be open various times, 10 a.m. to midnight or 4 p.m. to midnight, so make sure to check with each location. El Poblano Grill and Cantina on North Kansas Expressway will be open from 10:30 to 9. Flat Creek in Republic will open from noon to 5 p.m. Golden Korean on West Sunshine will be open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Happy China on East Battlefield will be open from 10:30 to 10:30. Hibachi Steak and Sushi on East Republic Road is open from 11 to 9. Looks like IHOP hours vary by location. Mama G's Kitchen downtown on Market Avenue will be open from 11 to 3. McDonald's hours vary by location. Momo Sushi and Grill on West Republic Road open 11:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Nawab's Indian Cuisine on South Campbell will be open from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Red Lobster on South Glenstone will be open noon to 9. Ray's Cafe on West Republic Road from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. S&L Donuts on South Glenstone Avenue from 5 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Sakura Japanese Sushi and Bar and Grill on South National Avenue will open from noon to 8. Sam's Southern Eatery on North Glenstone will open from 10 to 10. Sidebar on East Republic Road will be open from 5 o'clock till midnight. Springfield Family Restaurant on South Campbell Avenue will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Storming Crab on South Glenstone Avenue will be open from noon to 6. Thai Express on West Republic Road open 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Waffle House, looks like all the locations here in town are open 24/7. YO Japan on South Glenstone is open noon to 8. Womack Supermercado on North Grant will be open from 10 to 6. And Zyka Indian Cuisine on South Jefferson Avenue downtown will be open from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and 5 to 9:30 p.m.
Well, continuing to talk about food, but on a bit of a sad note, Queen City Soul Kitchen is closing their doors after a 5-year Springfield run. This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen. The restaurant closed its doors after dinner service on December 21st, said Francine Pratt, creative food director at the Springfield restaurant. Pratt said rising costs, including surging food prices, led the company to ultimately shutter. And what follows is a picture of Queen City Soul Kitchen over on North Boonville Avenue here in Springfield. They officially closed again on December 21st. They announced they closed permanently after 5 years with an executive citing mounting food costs. The restaurant closed its doors after dinner service on December 21st, said Francine Pratt, creative food director at the Springfield restaurant. Pratt said rising costs, including surging food prices, led the company to ultimately shutter. Queen City Soul closed, quote, due to rising food costs and not wanting to increase the prices any more than we already did, Pratt said. And with the small business, you're just not able to buy as much in bulk. Upon closure, the Soul Food Company was operating 2 locations, including the store at 1626 North Boonville Avenue and an operation inside Mercy Hospital's cafeteria. In its height, Queen City Soul Kitchen ran 4 locations, including a location inside Nix's 14 Mill Market and one in Missouri State University's Plaster Student Union. At its height, Pratt said Queen City Soul had 22 part-time employees. Pratt was especially proud that the restaurant hired many people with disabilities and some people who were previously incarcerated. Quote, I would say the most exciting is to know that we had a couple of people who worked for us who were previously incarcerated and used that as a stepping stone to buy their own car or buy their own house and to start mentoring back into the community, Pratt said. Queen City Soul Kitchen started in 2020 as purely a pop-up restaurant with many days spent operating out of Big Mama's Kitchen on historic Commercial Street. Big Mama's owner Lyle Foster also owned Queen City Soul. The goal of Queen City was always to be an affordable option for Springfield, as well as providing one of the first outlets for soul food in the city, Pratt said. The menu supported Pratt's own recipes for specialties like East Coast-style macaroni and cheese and fresh collard greens seasoned with smoked turkey. Queen City was also known for, quote, melt-in-your-mouth meatloaf. We've accomplished what we set out to do, the company said in a Facebook post on December 19th announcing the closure. Our team has given their best to provide quality service and delicious made-from-scratch cuisine using the recipes of Miss Francine Pratt, who has prepared food from all over the nation. We wish them well.
Well, lots of food news coming to us today here in Springfield. Coming to us from Ozarks First, Springfield groups prepare to serve hundreds on Christmas. Several Springfield organizations are preparing to serve hundreds of people on Christmas, offering food, warmth, and community to those who need it most. At the Salvation Army's Harbor House, staff are gearing up for their annual Christmas Day lunch. Major Amos Shiles said they plan to serve about 200 people this year, a reflection of growing need in the community. Shiles said the organization has seen record high demand in recent months, with more families seeking help from its food pantry. The Harbor House lunch will begin at 11:30 a.m. on December 25th. Victory Mission is also preparing to serve holiday meals to the 120 men currently staying in its shelter. Director Silas Garrison said recent challenges, including cold weather and temporary delays in SNAP benefits, have pushed more people to seek assistance. He said that although those programs have resumed, the community is still feeling the effects. Meanwhile, staff at Black Sheep Downtown are preparing for their annual Christmas lunch, a tradition that has grown every year. Owner Ryan said last year's events made national headlines after one guest who had been homeless sent a heartfelt letter of thanks. The woman, who attended for the first time last year, wrote to thank the restaurant for providing her a place to belong. The letter was shared online and featured in the Today Show. Staff were later able to locate the woman and help her with supplies to get through winter. Each organization's goal is the same: to ensure no one in Springfield spends the holidays hungry or alone. Organizers say anyone in need of a warm meal or a welcoming place to go on or around Christmas Day is invited to join.
Well, 'tis the season for all the high school basketball tournaments. The schedule and seeds are set for pink and white girls basketball tournaments. And we see a shot of Hillcrest basketball versus Fair Grove last year as they are raising the trophy that they won. The pink and white girls basketball tournaments are returning to Springfield, kicking off on Friday, December 26th on the campus of Drury University. The two 16-team brackets were recently announced, with defending champion Kickapoo grabbing the white division's top seed, while Stratford, whom the Chiefs beat in last year's final, are in the pink division and have the number one spot there. All games will be played at Drury, either at Weiser Gym or the O'Reilly Family Events Center. The championship day is scheduled for Tuesday, December 30th, with title games in the afternoon to not coincide with the Blue and Gold Boys events being held across town at Missouri State. And as we mentioned, the Pink Division games will begin on Friday, December 26th at Weiser Gym, and then following on Saturday, December 27th will be the Consolation Bracket, also held at Weiser Gym. The Winners Bracket will be held on Saturday at O'Reilly Family Events Center, and then on Monday, December 29th, will be the winners' games and losers' games, determining, of course, the final seeds. And on December 30th, Tuesday, will be the final games determining the winners of the various games. So congratulations and best wishes to all.
All right, coming to us from KY3 today, voters sue to suspend Missouri's new congressional map until a referendum. The question of whether Missouri's new congressional districts are in effect for the 2026 elections will be up to a court to decide. A lawsuit filed Tuesday on behalf of voters contends the redrawn map backed by President Donald Trump should have been automatically suspended earlier this month when opponents submitted more than 300,000 petition signatures seeking to force a statewide vote. But Republican Attorney General Catherine Hanaway says the new districts took effect and will remain in place as candidates run for office unless Republican Secretary of State Denny Hoskins verifies the signatures are sufficient and certifies that the petition meets constitutional muster. The court battle carries consequences for Trump's plan to reshape congressional districts in Republican-led states, which could give the GOP a shot at winning additional seats in the midterm elections and retaining control of the closely divided U.S. House. Missouri's new map is intended to help Republicans pick up a Democrat-held district in Kansas City by splitting off portions and stretching the rest into rural areas that are predominantly Republican. Nationwide, the unusual mid-decade redistricting battle has so far resulted in a total of 9 more seats the Republicans believe they can win in Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio, and a total of 6 more seats that Democrats expect to win in California and Utah, putting Republicans up by 3. But the redrawn districts are being litigated in some states, and if the maps hold for 2026, there is no guarantee that the parties will win the seats. Missouri's Constitution allows voters who are opposed to a new law to gather petition signatures to put the measure to a statewide vote. If they submit about 110,000 valid signatures, meaning minimum thresholds in at least 2/3 of the state's congressional district, the law is placed on hold until a referendum can be held at the next November election. Historically, the state has treated laws as suspended when referendum petitions get submitted. But Hanaway contends a law can be suspended only after the Secretary of State determines there is a sufficient number of valid signatures, a process that could conclude long after Missouri's candidate filing period, which runs from February 24th through March 31st. Local election officials have until July 28th to finish verifying signatures, and Hoskins could make a final decision after that. Missouri's primary elections are August 4th. This is a transparent ploy to force the use of HB1's new congressional map by delaying certification of the referendum signatures until it's too late to change the congressional map for the 2026 midterms, says the lawsuit, which was filed by the American Civil Liberties Union on behalf of 2 Kansas City area voters who signed the referendum petition. The lawsuit comes just 1 day after the Missouri Attorney General released a statement reasserting that the new congressional map remains in effect while the petition signatures are reviewed. To suspend laws immediately upon submitting a petition would allow anyone to freeze duly enacted state laws by dropping off boxes of unverified signatures, Hanaway's office said in a statement. The latest lawsuit is at least the ninth related to Missouri's new congressional map. Some of the lawsuits contend that mid-decade redistricting violates the state's constitution and that Republican Governor Mike Kehoe had no legal grounds to call lawmakers into a special session to pass the new map.
And from, okay, it's disappeared on me. And doctors are warning about surging cases of the flu, as at least 1,900 people have died from the virus nationwide this season, including 3 children. At the D.C. Public Health Laboratory, doctors are busy testing diseases that could become a public health concern. Quote, the only real time that people see us is when there is a public health emergency, said Dr. Jocelyn Hauser, director at the D.C. Public Health Laboratory. Hauser said doctors' offices and hospitals around the country send them swabs collected from patients. Quote, we receive those samples and log them into our information system, she said. Those results are then sent to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. This year, the CDC is particularly concerned about growing cases of the flu. The latest data released Friday show there have been at least 4.6 million cases so far this season, along with 49,000 hospitalizations and 1,900 deaths in the United States alone. The dominant strain causing the surge in illnesses is subclade K, a mutation of influenza A. Quote, we think this subclade A K virus is evading population immunity, meaning more people are susceptible to infection, said Professor Andrew Peskovs with Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. While doctors and the CDC said the best protection is the flu vaccine, Peskov said this year, the shot, though, may not be enough. It has mutations that may allow it to evade some, but not all, of the influenza vaccine-induced protection, he said. As millions of people prepare to travel and gather this week for the holidays, there's growing concern that cases may spike, especially as cases are surging around the globe. Children, adults 65 and older, and those with underlying medical conditions are particularly vulnerable to the flu. Medical experts still urge everyone 6 months and older to get the flu vaccine.
Student loan borrowers who are in default will face wage garnishments next year. Coming to us from Ozarks First, student loan borrowers in default will soon face wage garnishments starting next year. This comes after the Trump administration's rollback of a COVID-era pause on payments. When borrowers fail to make payments for 9 months, their loans become defaulted, allowing the government to seize approximately 15% of their income to repay the debt. This change affects many individuals, like Jessica Carey, who is struggling with student debt, estimating it at around $60,000. I really do need to check it out and try to get a repayment plan going on because they do that because I can't afford to have my wages seized, expressed Carey. Richard Baker, CEO of Fervent Wealth Management, suggests borrowers should be proactive to make sure they are caught up on payments and emphasizes the importance of adjusting one's budget accordingly. The main thing on your budget is to make it breathable. You don't want the anxiety, you don't want the stress, said Baker. So figure out ways to lower what you can, and it's usually those big lever items. It's your rent, it's your budget, it's your gas, it's your utilities. For those in Springfield struggling with debt, Baker recommends utilizing local resources, mentioning the credit counseling services as excellent to work with. They can get people set up with them side by side and help them work on their budgets, he said. The Department of Education says that borrowers will receive a notification prior to the collections, giving them the opportunity to catch up on their payments.
Voters sue to suspend Missouri's new congressional map until a referendum. And we see a picture of the reporters reporting this story from Jefferson City. The question of whether Missouri's new congressional districts are in effect for the 2026 elections will be up to a court to decide. A lawsuit filed Tuesday on behalf of voters contends the redrawn map, backed by President Donald Trump, should have been automatically suspended earlier this month when opponents submitted more than 300,000 petition signatures seeking to force a statewide vote. But Republican Attorney General Catherine Hanaway says the new districts took effect and will remain in place as candidates run for office, unless Republican Secretary of State Denny Hoskins verifies signatures are sufficient and certifies that the petition meets constitutional muster. The court battles carry consequences for Trump's plan to reshape congressional districts in Republican-led states, which could give the GOP a shot at winning additional seats in the midterm elections and retaining control of the closely divided U.S. House. Missouri's new map is intended to help Republicans pick up a Democrat-held district in Kansas City by splitting off portions and stretching the rest into rural areas that are predominantly Republican. Nationwide, the unusual mid-decade redistricting battle has so far resulted in a total of 9 more seats that the Republicans believe they can win in Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio, and a total of 6 more seats that Democrats expect to win in California and Utah, putting Republicans up by 3. But the redrawn districts are being litigated in some states, and if the maps hold for 2026, there's no guarantee that the parties will win the seats. Missouri's Constitution allows voters who are opposed to a new law to gather petition signatures to put the measure to a statewide vote. If they submit approximately 110,000 valid signatures, meeting minimum thresholds in at least 2/3 of the state's congressional districts, the law is placed on hold until a referendum can be held at the next November election. Historically, the state has treated laws as suspended when referendum petitions get submitted, but Hanaway contends a law can be suspended only after the Secretary of State determines there is a sufficient number of valid signatures, a process that could conclude long after Missouri's candidate filing period, which runs from February 24th through March 31st. Local election officials have until July 28th to finish verifying signatures, and Hoskins could make a final decision after that. Missouri's primary elections are August 4th. Quote, this is a transparent ploy to force the use of HB 1's new congressional map by delaying certification of the referendum signatures, quote, until it's too late to change the congressional map for the 2026 midterms, says the lawsuit, filed by the American Civil Liberties Union on behalf of 2 Kansas City area voters who signed the referendum petition. The lawsuit comes just 1 day after Missouri Attorney General released a statement reasserting that the new congressional map, quote, remains in effect while the petition signatures are being reviewed. To suspend laws immediately upon submitting a petition would allow anyone to freeze duly enacted state laws by dropping off boxes of unverified signatures, Hanaway's office said in a statement. The latest lawsuit is at least the 9th related to Missouri's new congressional map. Some of the lawsuits contend that mid-decade redistricting violates the state's constitution and that Republican Governor Mike Kehoe had no legal grounds to call lawmakers into a special session to pass the new map.
Coming to us from KY3, an Oklahoma university removes a graduate professor instructor after grading controversy involving a Nixa high school grad. A graduate instructor at the University of Oklahoma will no longer teach at the university after giving a Nixa high school graduate a 0 on an essay, the school announced Monday. The university said in a statement posted on X that its investigation found the graduate teaching assistant had been arbitrary in giving 20-year-old junior Samantha Fulnecki 0 points on the assignment. The university declined to comment beyond its statement, which said the instructor will no longer have instructional duties. Through her attorney, the instructor, Mel Kurth, who identifies as a transgender woman, denied she engaged in any arbitrary behavior regarding the student's work. The attorney, Brittany Stewart, said in a statement emailed to the Associated Press that Kurth is considering all of her legal remedies. Conservative groups, commentators, and others quickly made Fulnecki's failing grade an online cause, highlighting her argument that she'd been punished for expressing conservative Christian views. Her case became a flashpoint in the ongoing debate over academic freedom on college campuses as President Donald Trump pushes to end diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and restrict how campuses discuss race, gender, and sexuality. Fulnecki appealed her grade on the assignment, which was worth 3% of the final grade in the class, and the university said the assignment would not count. It also placed Kurth on leave, and Oklahoma's conservative Republican governor, Kevin Stitt, declared the situation deeply concerning. The University of Oklahoma believes strongly in both its faculty's rights to teach with academic freedom and integrity and its students' rights to receive an education that is free from a lecturer's impermissible evaluative standards, the university statement said. We are committed to teaching students how to think, not what to think. A law approved this year by Oklahoma's Republican-dominated legislature and signed by Stitt prohibits state universities from using public funds to finance DEI programs or positions or mandating DEI training. However, the law says it does not apply to scholarly research or the academic freedom of any individual faculty member. Home telephone listings for Fulnecki in the Springfield, Missouri area have been disconnected, and her mother, an attorney, podcaster, and radio host, did not immediately respond Tuesday to a Facebook message seeking comment about the university's action. Fulnecky's failing grade came in an assignment for a psychology class on lifespan development. Kurth directed students to write a 650-word response to an academic study that examined whether conformity with gender norms was associated with popularity or bullying among middle school students. Fulnecky wrote that she was frustrated by the premise of the assignment because she does not believe that there are more than two genders based on her understanding of the Bible, according to her copy of the essay provided to the Oklahoman. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want to be is demonic and severely harms American youth, she wrote, adding that it would lead society farther from God's original plan for humans. In feedback obtained by the newspaper, Kurth said the paper did not answer the questions for the assignment, contradicted itself, relied on personal ideology over evidence, and is at times offensive. Please note that I am not deducting points because you have certain beliefs, Kurth wrote.
And we're broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store in Springfield, Missouri, located at 2713 North Kansas Expressway. You will find amazing deals Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Help the blind and help the community. Well, Marionville is reestablishing its police department. 2 cities, 1 goal. That was the motto for the Aurora Marionville Police Department. Soon the departments that joined forces more than a decade ago will operate separately. Quote, it's kind of a quiet town, but I think that you have all the same things that any town has, says Tricia Peters. She owns a coffee shop just off the square in Marionville, and she says seeing police officers around town would help everyone feel safer. You don't see a lot of police presence. I think they may just respond when needed, she said. The city of Aurora decided not to renew its partnership with Marionville for police services. This paves the way for Marionville to resurrect its own department with Chief Mark Webb at the helm. Quote, you've got to build that trust instead of just a blue suit that showed up. Hey, that's Chief Webb and he's our chief, or that's Officer Smith, that's our officer. It's not just the police suit that showed up to my 911 call, which happens in a lot of larger cities, he said. Aurora Police Chief Wes Cody said, we're not going to be dispatching the same calls all the time, but operationally, we're still going to be doing kind of what we've been doing. We'll be helping Marionville. Marionville will be helping us. It's not going to change that aspect. Coatney says Aurora will also help Marionville get off the ground by training new officers and outfitting the department with all new equipment. Quote, I want nothing but success in their police department, and I think they're in a good place to do that, he said. With more than 45 years of experience, Webb said he's ready for the challenge. Quote, I think that's probably 6 months to a year. Marionville will be well down the road to having the police department that it wants, he said. It will be nice to have a presence here if you need something. It's just kind of nice to know that they're around, said Peters. Marionville's use tax will help pay for the department. The goal is for the department to be fully operational by the end of January.
And more in police news. We have Catch a Crook coming to us from KY3. Greene County deputies are looking for a stolen trailer, thief, and suspect vehicle. Greene County Sheriff's Office deputies are investigating the theft of a utility trailer and the person who stole it. The only clue, footage of a suspect vehicle. The stolen trailer is described as a 2004 18-foot flatbed utility trailer missing a passenger side fender with a slightly bent rear portion of the frame, said Deputy Jonah Beatles, Public Information Officer for the Greene County Sheriff's Office. 2 igloo coolers were also taken. The theft occurred sometime between November 30th and December 6th at a property in the 900 block of Farm Road 235, south of Highway YY, east of Springfield. The incident marks the 3rd theft from the same property in 4 months, according to Beatles. Trail cameras set up by the property owner captured video on December 7th after the trailer was stolen, showing the suspect vehicle. The footage shows a late 1990s to early 2000s model Ford Ranger. The video shows the truck driving through the property around 1:20 a.m., appearing entirely white. About 4 hours later, the same truck returns, but the bed now appears a darker color. They have a photo here of the two-toned version of the truck with the darker bed. The vehicle tries to be sneaky, or the suspect, that is. The vehicle comes in one color, one solid color, and when it leaves, it's half one color and half another color, presumably white and black, Beatles said. Deputies were unable to read the license plate and have not been able to locate the truck. They believe whoever is driving it is likely behind the other thefts as well. 3 thefts at the same place within 4 months. Definitely a targeted deal. Just no way around it. And unfortunately, I hate to think that, but it's plausible that they're targeting other properties in the area as well, Beatles said. Anyone with information about the crime is asked to call the Greene County Sheriff's Office at 417-829-6230.
In education news, Willow Springs School Board has selected their next superintendent. The Willow Springs School Board has selected John Johnson, who currently serves as principal of the Willow Springs Middle School. He'll be moving into the top job on July 1st. He'll succeed Marty Spitz, who has been an educator and leader in the district for more than 2 decades. At the start of the 2025-26 school year, Spence and the board acknowledged in an open letter to the district that the Howell County school system faced financial challenges driven in part by declining enrollment. Johnson has led the middle school since 2022 with a focus on strengthening school culture, supporting teachers, and improving student outcomes, according to the announcement. He spent nearly 2 decades in public education, including 10 years as high school principal in Summersville and other administrative roles in Salem and Crawford County. And we see a picture of Mr. Johnson provided by the Willow Springs School District. The board said that Johnson has a track record of emphasizing strong instructional practices, data-informed decisions, and positive relationships with students, staff, parents, and the community. The Missouri School Boards Association helped with the superintendent search. He has an education doctorate from Lindenwood University. Quote, "What inspires me most about this role is the opportunity to continue serving a district I know and care deeply about," Johnson said in the announcement. He continues as superintendent, "I'll work diligently to strengthen community partnerships, support staff development, and ensure that every student has access to high-quality learning experiences that prepare them for life."
Right. From Ozarks First, MDC announces January sites for live Christmas tree donations. The Missouri Department of Conservation is alerting residents around Missouri to the opportunity of donating their live Christmas trees after the holiday. According to an MDC news release, Missourians will be able to drop off their live trees during the month of January 2026, including locally in Camdenton, Missouri. Here's a list of locations around central Missouri. MDC's Camdenton Service Center at 783 Thunder Mountain Road, MDC's Central Regional Office at 3500 East Gons Road in Columbia, Washington Park near Vivian Field in Jefferson City, Missouri, Proctor Park off Parkway Drive in California, Missouri, and Axis Seed at 19600 Stephen Cole Court in Boonville, Missouri. MDC states that all decorations must be removed from the live tree before being donated to any of the locations. The department indicates that signage should be seen to direct donors to the proper drop-off spot. The natural trees will be used by MDC fisheries staff to submerge them in area lakes and ponds. Officials report that once the trees are submerged, they will offer a habitat for a variety of native fish species. Submerged Christmas trees make great underwater cover for smaller fish and aquatic invertebrates, said MDC fisheries biologist Brian McKeague in the release. Larger fish then congregate around these structures to prey on fish and other food sources, so these trees become hotspots for fish and for anglers. The release reports that trees can be dropped off at city mulch sites or can be placed under bird feeders in your backyard to provide cover for birds or other wildlife.
The Gainesville School District and several community partners have come together to provide a resource center for students, and it's only growing. What was just a closet of clothes a few years ago is practically a department store now full of clothes, hygiene products, and food for Gainesville school students. Only this store doesn't cost anything at all. The Gainesville Community Resource Center is a place where Gainesville students and their families can get meal bags, clothes, hygiene products, and more. It's backed by Care to Learn, Convoy of Hope, and the Youth Empowerment Program, a By Kids for Kids way to make sure everyone has the same access to learning. Quote, "I don't know how it really helped until I understood it for myself," said Lily Hajek, a student in the YEP program, and realized that the first step for kids to do good in school and really flourish is to have food and a shower and clothes. Quote, "It has basically changed the way that I see education as a whole," said Misty Culliper, a community resource specialist and coordinator for YEP. And in a way that truly creates a difference in this world as far as being able to not only educate children, but also make sure they feel loved and cared for. Any student can get whatever resources they need with no family income barriers. Knowing that anyone can get what they need at any time means students would have no way of knowing whether their friends or classmates were getting help. Quote, "It's really interesting because it's really hard to tell," said student Dylan Abram. And I want to say that that's helped by this program that you're not able to tell. I think that's kind of the goal of this program, to just have every student on the same level when going to school, because when you're in school, you shouldn't be worried about how hungry you are or what your next meal is. You should worry about learning. So I think having that idea of not knowing who is getting these bags is pretty helpful. The Resource Center moved into its current space 2 years ago, but recently it got a significant upgrade, quote, a private shower for students without running water at home. They can schedule a time privately, pick out clean clothes from the closet, and then have their clothes washed and ready to go by the next day. It is a blessing, said Community Resource Specialist Brenda Fry. There's a lot of giving and receiving that goes on between students and their peers and teachers and staff. There's a lot, and so it's just a huge blessing to be able to have it. I just hope it keeps growing, said Abram. If I come back after college and see that this is the program and it's getting the recognition it deserves, that's my dream for it. While the community resource specialists say the program's sustainability can sometimes be in question, it's not a problem they're facing now or one they're worried about, given the creativity of the staff and the students who help run it.
Coming to us from KY3's On Your Side, what to know before your next doctor's visit. Mercy patients could be facing a new fee if they visit certain clinics. Many got a letter in the mail recently saying you might see a facility fee. On Your Side has covered facility fees for years. It's a healthcare billing practice that's becoming common across the country in states where it's legal. David Anglin is losing his sight. Monthly injections help. I get an injection in my eyes that's supposed to slow the process down, said Anglin. Until recently, he had a $30 copay. But after his last appointment, he got a bill that shows he owes $262.55. Mercy told me it was a facility fee, he said. Mercy confirms to On Your Side that 3 clinics, headache, urology, and ophthalmology, started billing patients what's known as a facility fee. Plus, Mercy Imaging Services in Smith, Glen, and Callaway in the South recently became a provider-based department. That's also known as an outpatient hospital-based department. This means patients get 2 separate bills, one from the physician and one from the facility, even if it's a short visit. The letter says patients may pay more out of pocket, but doesn't say how much. A facility fee is a separate charge that On Your Side has talked about in past reports. Some Cox Health and Citizens Memorial Hospitals clinics have facility fees too. These clinics are held to the same standards as hospitals, which the health systems say are more costly than traditional clinics. I think facility fees are an expensive financial gotcha for consumers, said Chuck Bell, financial policy advocate for Consumer Reports. We are already paying the provider to deliver the services, so if you give them this ability to charge for overhead, it will be a lot of money for patients, he said, Bell. I don't think it's the patient's responsibility to take care of the maintenance on the building and to pay the staff, said Anglin. If you call the facility in advance, they might be able to tell you what the facility fee would be for the particular service that you're getting, but most of the time it comes as a rude surprise to the consumer, and that's why it's really unpopular, said Bell. Mercy Hospital leaders declined our request for an on-camera interview, but said in a statement, patients should never get a surprise bill, which is why we take several steps to make sure they're informed of the care they're scheduled to receive. Along with signage at our hospital outpatient departments, patients are provided with a good faith estimate of the cost of their care when they check in. Some states are making it illegal for clinics to charge the fees. More than 20 states have passed laws that restrict the amount facility fees and the settings of which they can be charged, and that might be something Missouri should be looking into as well, said Bell. Neither Missouri nor Arkansas has facility fee laws on the books. Here's what you need to know before you go to the doctor. Be sure to call your insurance company before your appointment and ask if they'll help cover a facility fee. All hospitals should be giving you an upfront estimate. For Mercy, see if there's a cost estimate on the My Mercy website. When you get to the clinic, look for signs in the lobby and ask plenty of questions. Bottom line, if you go to one of these clinics, you'll need to budget for 2 bills. If you strongly disagree with the amount, you can dispute it and file a complaint with the Department of Insurance.
Well, Missouri officials are lashing out after the Chiefs announced their move to Kansas. We see a picture of Kansas City Chiefs owner Clark Hunt on remembering Arrowhead Stadium. A couple of key points in this article include the Kansas City Chiefs moving to Kansas after the state offered a more lucrative incentive package than Missouri. The Chiefs' lease at Arrowhead Stadium, their home since 1972, is set to expire after the 2030 season. And with the Chiefs' departure, the future of the Kansas City Royals in Missouri also remains uncertain. Nearly a decade after Missouri lost its NFL franchise in St. Louis to Los Angeles, the state learned Monday that the Kansas City Chiefs were moving across the state line to Kansas. The news, rumored for days, was greeted with shock and despair in Missouri, where hopes were high that a $1.5 billion incentives package approved by state lawmakers would be enough to keep the team in Arrowhead Stadium. But in the end, a much more lucrative package from Kansas won out. Quote, "This is a very painful day for everyone in Missouri who loves our Chiefs," said Senator Maggie Nuremberg, a Kansas City Democrat. Follows a picture of Patrick Mahomes. "A lot of us in Missouri feel like we've been incredibly loyal to the Chiefs despite all the frustrations over decades," Nuremberg added, quote, "We're stuck with the Chiefs every step of the way, so this is disappointing. I can imagine that Lamar Hunt today is rolling in his grave." House Speaker John Patterson, a Lee Summit Republican, echoed the disappointment, saying Missouri entered into a state negotiation at a disadvantage. Quote, "I think money was part of it, but I think it's also the opportunities available in Kansas." Patterson said, "You know, Arrowhead can't do a Super Bowl. Arrowhead can't do a Final Four. If you have a dome stadium, those things are all possibilities. And I think that's probably what ultimately led to the decision to move." Missouri wasn't able to put its best foot forward, Patterson adds, because leadership was very fragmented. Kansas leadership was very united and professional, and they just took advantage of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he said, adding it would be deliciously satisfying to start pointing fingers, but I hope we can avoid that right now and just look forward. State Representative Mark Sharp, a Kansas City Democrat, was not ready to be so magnanimous. He said years of bad decisions led to Monday's news, specifically pointing to former Jackson County Executive Frank White, who was recently removed from office after a recall vote. White, Sharp said in a social media post, quote, "presided over a deeply dysfunctional and adversarial approach to our professional sports teams." Sharp also cast blame on former Governor Mike Parson for not responding to Kansas's efforts to poach the Chiefs before leaving office, and Kehoe for waiting until nearly the end of this year's legislative session before presenting a stadium plan. This crisis did not happen by accident, he said. It was a result of a series of preventable leadership failures. House Minority Leader Ashley Oon, a Kansas City Democrat, called it legislative malpractice, that Kehoe waited until the final days of the legislative session in May to offer a counterproposal to Kansas. Kehoe said he remained hopeful throughout the process and that negotiations with the Chiefs' management continued into last week. His administration has been in constant communication with both the Chiefs and the Royals, and it wasn't until Monday morning that he was informed by the Chiefs that the team was leaving. Quote, "Harry Truman once said, 'The buck stop here,'" Kehoe told reporters at a press conference. "It's not fun to be at the top when something like this happens, but you certainly want to try to figure out what the lessons learned here are, and moving forward. We will obviously be doing a post-mortem analysis. This is certainly a setback," Kehoe said, "a setback, but we'll be working together to recover." The Chiefs' ownership, Kehoe said, decided to abandon Lamar Hunt's legacy at the iconic Arrowhead Stadium, a place that Chiefs fans have rallied around since 1972. At Arrowhead, every game feels like a Super Bowl. No new stadium will replicate that. Jackson County legislator Manny Abercow said he expects elected officials in the county, where the team is currently located, to take a closer look at how taxpayer money is spent during the remaining years of the Chiefs and Royals contracts to play at the Truman Sports Complex. Jackson County currently charges a 3/8-cent sales tax for stadium upkeep, generating millions a year. Honestly, at this point, they're like a bad girlfriend. He said they won't go away. And so the reality that they want to try and go play second fiddle in Kansas and try and lure a deal that's not written down in paper, good luck to them. Best of luck. At this point, our taxpayers in Jackson County deserve a whole lot better commitment than what we're getting. The Chiefs' decision is, quote, "incredibly disappointing," said State Senator Patty Lewis, a Kansas City Democrat, but it's also a symptom of a larger problem. "There are no winners in a border war, just losses on both sides," she said. "Companies moving back and forth across the state line to re-up massive tax breaks while creating no real net job growth is bad for families, bad for the region, and bad for state sales." State Senator Nick Schroer, a Republican from Defiance, was among the lawmakers who openly opposed the incentives package for the Chiefs and Royals when it passed the legislature this summer. "Don't want to say I told you so, but I warned the legislature this would happen, just as it did with the Rams," he said. Schroer said he'll be filing legislation this week to, quote, "get rid of the asinine classification of the Chiefs as Missouri's official NFL team, as it was passed just a few sessions ago. Similarly, I'll be getting rid of the asinine handshake border war resolution, which says we will play nice with our neighbors next door." The Chiefs' lease on its Kansas City Stadium, which has been their home since 1972, will expire after the 2030 session. Missouri lawmakers reconvened during a special legislative session this summer to approve a spending package that would have allocated state taxes collected from economic activity at Arrowhead and Kaufman to bond payments for renovations at Arrowhead and a new stadium for the Royals in Jackson or Clay counties. Estimated at just under $1.5 billion over 30 years, the funding would pay for half the costs compared to 70% in Kansas, and that includes a requirement for additional local government funding. The Royals first announced an intention to leave Kauffman Stadium in November of 2022. The move pitched as a way for the Chiefs to remain in Arrowhead, demolish Kauffman, and build a covered entertainment center. Officials in Jackson County and Kansas City began scrambling to figure out how to keep the Royals from leaving Missouri. By the spring of 2023, Clay County leaders announced interest in building a stadium in North Kansas City that could become the Royals' new home. The Royals solicited proposals for a downtown Kansas City and North Kansas City site a few months later and released renderings of possible stadiums at both locations in August of 2023. Soon after, a poll was leaked to the media showing 70% of Clay County voters opposed a new sales tax to fund a stadium in North Kansas City. Despite weeks of media speculation, no one claimed credit for the poll, which was widely seen as an attempt to shake the confidence of Royals ownership in the viability of a Clay County proposal. Critics who called the survey a push poll meant to deceive the public decried the move at the time, arguing that sabotaging any potential Missouri site would increase the chances one or both teams could end up in Missouri. It wasn't until over a year later documents provided to The Independent revealed it was a political action committee formed to support Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas that paid for the Clay County polling. A staffer using a Lucas campaign email address requested the poll be commissioned, and his top aide obfuscated the spending by requesting it be referred to in disclosures as, quote, research instead of polling. Jackson County voters were eventually presented with a proposed sales tax increase to fund a Royal Stadium in Kansas City, and Lucas threw his support behind the measure, but it was resoundingly rejected by voters. The failed push to pay for a new Royal Stadium in Missouri left the door open for Kansas lawmakers, who quickly put their own package of incentive together to lure the teams across the state line. Lucas said negotiations with the team ran up until last week and that the offer Missouri put forward was fair but very responsible. He worked closely with the governor and other local and state officials, and that work will continue as Missouri is striving to keep the Kansas City Royals from leaving as well. Well, the Chiefs aren't going far away and aren't gone yet. Today is a setback for a Kansas Cityan, a former Chiefs season ticket holder said, and a lifelong Chiefs fan, he said. As Missouri mourns the loss of the Chiefs, the fate of the Royals will remain in flux. The team, rumored to be eyeing a new stadium in Overland Park, Kansas. Lucas said Monday his hope is for a downtown baseball stadium, while other Missouri officials continue pushing for a North Kansas City site. Nuremberg and Patterson both said that as far as they were aware, negotiations with the Royals are still ongoing.
All right, coming to us from KY3, Springfield police warn against advertising new gifts to potential thieves. As families prepare to unwrap Christmas presents, the Springfield Police Department is reminding residents to be cautious when disposing of gift boxes to avoid attracting thieves. Once you open up all your gifts this season, don't make your curb an advertisement for what you have inside your house, said Chris Swatters, Public Affairs Officer for SPD. Police say it's easy for people to take boxes outside without considering the security risk. Leaving boxes for new electronics or gaming systems at the curb can signal to potential burglars what valuable items are inside the home. If you've got a new TV or new gaming system, leaving those boxes sitting out on your curb next to the trash can, that is flashing lights to someone who might want to take those things that are in your home, Swatters said. Instead, police recommend breaking down boxes and stuffing them into trash cans as best you can, or taking them to recycling centers. For residents with too many boxes to fit in their trash can, Swatters suggests storing them in the house, garage, or shed until the next trash pickup. Those are the two safest options. And if you have too many boxes, too many bags of trash that won't fit in your trash can, and you're not able to get them to the recycling center, just save those in the house, in the garage, in the shed, Swatters said. Police also recommend locking doors, keeping the outside of homes well lit, ensuring security or doorbell cameras are working, and avoiding posting travel plans on social media until after returning home. These are all just basic precautions that you can take to help reduce the opportunity and reduce the risk that you're a victim of a property crime like burglary, Swatters said.
First alert weather, it is springtime in December. Record highs are possible through Saturday. And today's record highs include 74 here in Springfield, 75 in Joplin. If you're in Kansas, 80 degrees possible in Chanute. Also 80 possibly a new high in Tulsa. Wow, Jonesboro, 74. You would not know it by temperatures, but we have blown the lid off things and have set some new record highs at most locations, with Harrison taking the honors recently at 78 degrees. There's no compelling reason to change the forecast, with a Christmas blowtorch looking very likely. Morning fog will occur again in some places, but the wind looks a little stronger, and a front currently in the area will be lifting north as low pressure develops in the western high plains. And following is a map. So this is Christmas, it says, and as we mentioned, these record highs, very nice and warm. It'll mean a warm up for central Missouri as well compared to yesterday, with temperatures in the lower 70s. A few upper 70s are possible again in northern Arkansas, even though the air loft looks a touch cooler compared to Tuesday. And today's record highs, we mentioned possibly 74 here in Springfield, and likely a tie or maybe even be breaking some highs. And hour by hour temps, by this afternoon, we can still be looking for highs in the mid-70s, which is just wonderful. These record modes are expected to continue through Saturday, and this is all thanks to rich but shallow moisture and a very warm, dry air aloft. Temperatures each morning expected to remain mainly in the upper 50s, afternoon temperatures in the 70s, and we can expect this continuing through Saturday. Models, though, have slowed the timing of the next cold front, now showing a passage Sunday at morning and afternoon, and that'll mean a very warm start to the day with falling temperatures. And then a few rain showers are possible, though they don't look widespread. This, again, is looking on into Sunday, the first of the week. It's going to turn drastically colder air in store for us on Monday, with back to near average temperatures for the rest of the week.
Coming to us from the Springfield Business Journal, a federal funding change could impact thousands in the state on homeless advocacy groups. A recently announced plan from the Trump administration to shift homeless service funds away from the permanent housing programs toward transitional housing is causing concern among local and national homeless advocacy organizations as legal wrangling continues. A federal district court decision on December 19th ruled the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is at least temporarily barred from imposing new conditions for homeless programs. According to media reports, U.S. District Judge Mary McElroy for Rhode Island granted a preliminary injunction to a group of states, cities, and nonprofits who said an overhaul of how to distribute about $3.9 billion in funding for continuums of care was unlawful. Continuums of care are the local agencies that coordinate services and funding for homeless individuals. HUD last month issued a notice of funding opportunity that had major changes that the National Alliance to End Homelessness said in an analysis could impact more than 170,000 people nationally, including over 3,100 in Missouri. The Washington, D.C.-based organization is among plaintiffs in the lawsuit. According to the notice, no more than 30% of the funding for next year could be used for permanent housing programs. Currently, communities spend nearly 90% of continuums of care funding on permanent housing. Locally, the Ozarks Alliance to End Homelessness is the designated continuum of care for Greene, Christian, and Webster counties. Malia Spencer, CEO of The Kitchen Incorporated, serves as vice chair of the executive committee for OAEH. That's our primary federal resource that helps communities move from homelessness to stable housing, she said of the local Continuum of Care program coordinated by the Community Partnership of the Ozarks Incorporated. It's a community-wide approach, and our whole goal is to make sure that homelessness is a rare, brief, and non-recurring. OAEH-funded programs provide housing and stabilization for people with disabilities, seniors, veterans, survivors of domestic violence, youth and families with children, according to Spencer. It provides nearly $1.5 million annually across critical housing and system coordination functions. However, she said if HUD's proposed funding changes to reduce permanent housing to 30% were enacted, it would reduce that annual total to around $436,000, leaving more than $1 million at risk. Statewide, it could cut more than $32 million in funding, according to the NAEH. The majority of who that is going to affect is our chronically homeless, Spencer said. These are the folks that need help the most. HUD has sought to significantly reduce funding for permanent housing and encourage more transitional housing that requires work and treatment for addiction or mental illness. In its Notice of Funding Opportunity announcement issued last month, HUD said roughly 90% of the Continuum of Care awards were funneled to support a housing-first ideology, which encourages dependence on endless government handouts while neglecting to address the root causes of homelessness, including illicit drugs and mental illness. Our philosophy for addressing the homelessness crisis will now define success not by dollars spent or housing units filled, but by how many people achieve long-term self-sufficiency and recovery, HUD Secretary Scott Turner said in a news release. Although HUD's plan changes are at least temporarily paused, Spencer said homelessness advocates need to stay vigilant as changes to how federal funding is distributed for continuum of care programs remains in the crosshairs. She said OAEH has formed an advocacy committee looking to get the word out of the potential changes in the community. Aside from Spencer, the committee includes Emily Fessler with CPO, Missy Hayward with Guarantee Bank, Tim Knapp with Missouri State University, Tammy Shipp with Centerstone, and Alyssa Spradlin with Brentwood Christian Church. We know that HUD currently is focused on making these types of changes, and we know we need to be prepared as a community that these types of funding resources that we've had since 2014 has a very high potential of not coming to us again, Spencer said. How are we going to ensure that those experiencing homelessness, especially those with mental health disorders, are somehow stably housed and not out on the streets?
And in pet news, a trapper tracks a missing dog in the woods of Branson. Coco the dog disappeared for 11 days in the woods of Branson, Missouri, but a trapper came to the rescue, and very good news. Glad to know that he is back at home. And we'd also like to send out congratulations to Drury forward Sarah Mandel. The Great Lakes Valley Conference has named her as Week 6 Athletic Solutions Women's Basketball Player of the Week. Mandel, the junior from Ava, Missouri, led the Lady Panthers last week in 2 games with 18 points per game on 77.3% shooting from the field and 12 rebounds per game. She recorded her 5th and 6th double-doubles of the season, including a career-best 23 points and 12 rebounds on 11 and 13 shooting against Union on December 15th. Against Arkansas Fort Smith on December 20th, Mandel scored 14 points and pulled down 12 rebounds with a steal and a block defensively. The Lady Panthers posted a 1-1 record last week with a 49-47 win at Arkansas Fort Smith and a 98-75 loss at Union. The honor is her first of her career and the first Lady Panther to earn the honor since Caitlin Daniels on January 20th of last season. Drury ended the month of December with a 4-1 record and is off until January 2nd when they host Rockhurst in the O'Reilly Family Event Center.
Coming to us from Ozarks First, a woman trespassed from a Southwest Missouri thrift store speaks out. A Lamar nonprofit issued a trespassing notice to a local resident who says she only wanted to purchase essential items for those in need. There's a photo of the Good Samaritan shop. Give a little, help a lot. For the past 5 years, resident Jessica Edwards has visited the Good Samaritan shop, searching for hats, gloves, socks, and other essential items to give to people experiencing homelessness and others in need. Edwards says during a recent visit, she asked the store manager if they had any gloves for sale, but says they refused to sell them to her after staff learned she distributes the items outside of the Barton County area. She also says that on several occasions, prices were changed, including one instance where a pair of socks originally labeled at 50 cents was raised to $1. There's a photo of Miss Edwards. Edwards says while she visits multiple thrift stores to collect supplies and necessities for the community, there was one reason she repeatedly returned to the Good Samaritan shop in Lamar. I kept going back because their prices are just so affordable, so in spite of everything, the volunteers there are wonderful, the prices are absolutely affordable, and it was the only place in pretty much the entire area that I could afford to buy in bulk, said Edwards. We attempted to contact the store for comment, but so far they have not responded. The police department says their only involvement in the situation was issuing Edwards a trespassing notice. They add that businesses have the right to refuse service to any customer.
In Cedar County, a former student approached settlement in an Agape school abuse case. A couple of key points. A former student of Agape boarding school reached a settlement with Cedar County and its law enforcement. The lawsuit alleged that law enforcement ignored reports of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse at the now closed school. And this is the first case where Cedar County has acknowledged its role in the abuse at Agape boarding school. Cedar County is on the verge of a settlement in this civil case regarding their role in abuse at the now closed Christian boarding school. Joshua Bradney of Indiana, who attended Agape boarding school, hopes the pending settlement encourages other former students to come forward. Quote, "We just held accountable the county for the neglect, disregard for the safety of children. That's ultimately the end goal. To show other people they shouldn't be afraid, to hold people accountable for what they did to you, and that you're allowed to do it." Bradney said, "I want to show other kids that, look, you can take the first step toward accountability for what people did to you at Agape." And here's what to know about Bradney, Cedar County's role in the case, and who this settlement means. Joshua Bradney is now 24 years old and attended the boarding school from 2014 to 2016. During his time, he was abused physically, sexually, and emotionally by staff as well as other school residents, according to court documents. Over the 2 years he attended, court records say Bradney was stabbed, molested, coerced into performing sexual favors, and raped. In 2021, he sued the boarding school for the abuse, identified then as John Doe number 2. Bradney reached a confidential settlement in 2023 with Agape boarding school. The question, why was Cedar County sued? Bradney filed a case against the Cedar County Sheriff's Office and other law enforcement entities in 2024 for their lack of action when abuse was reported at the school. Cedar County law enforcement came to the school often, court records said, but Bradney's attempts to report abuse were met with apathy and eventually hostility. Bradney made so many reports of abuse to law enforcement when they were on premises that he reports that they threatened to tase him if he kept bothering him, according to reports. Bradney's father also reported the abuse to police, but Graves told him that, quote, "no abuse had been found." There's a pending $30,000 settlement between Bradney and Cedar County and its past and present employees, sheriffs, deputies, representatives, agents, council members, servants, agents, attorney, insurers, Star Insurance Company, a member of the antitrust group. Well, what does the settlement mean? Next headline. Cedar County and its law enforcement officers continue to deny their role in abuse at Agape boarding school, as the settlement is not to be construed as any admission of liability, according to the settlement. However, Bradney sees the settlement as a win. Quote, "It wasn't about the money. We were able to hold them accountable for disregard for the safety of children and neglect towards us, and ultimately that was the end goal," Bradney said. As a publication, lawyers for Bradney, Cedar County, Graves, and McCrary have not responded to requests for comment. And the final headline reads, "What has happened at Agape boarding school? Investigators began looking into the Stockton-based Christian Reform School in 2021 due to abuse allegations. And on January 20th of 2023, it closed, quote, solely due to the lack of financial resources to continue caring for the boys," according to a statement by the former director of Agape boarding school, Bryant Clemenson, in a press release. In September of 2021, Cedar County prosecutor Ty Gaither filed 13 low-level Class E felony assault charges against 5 people linked to Agape boarding school. As of December 2022, the majority of the charges were dismissed or reduced to misdemeanors. In August of 2022, Sandoval was accused of transporting a teen against his will from California to Stockton, but according to reporting from the Fresno Bee, he was acquitted. According to reporting by the Kansas City Star, 16 civil lawsuits in state court were settled for undisclosed amounts, including Bradney's as of March 7, 2023, and dismissed with prejudice, meaning they cannot be tried again. In June of 2023, the school lost its accreditation from the National Council of Private School Accreditation and the Association of Christian Teachers and Schools.
All right, coming to us from Springfield Business Journal, what Trump's marijuana rescheduling order does and doesn't mean for Missouri cannabis. President Donald Trump's executive order to reschedule marijuana won't change much in terms of how Missouri's marijuana industry operates, business owners and legal experts agree. It doesn't change the fact that marijuana can't be transported or sold across state lines. It doesn't do away with the cap on the number of business licenses to cultivate and sell marijuana in Missouri. And it doesn't allow customers to use credit cards at dispensaries, since credit card networks and issuing banks are still governed by institutional risk frameworks that prohibit cannabis transactions. But the order will give Missouri marijuana companies some tax relief and long-awaited recognition for the medicinal benefits their products can offer, said Mark Hendren, president of Flora Farms Cannabis Company that operates 12 dispensaries in Missouri. Obviously, for a cannabis company like us, the big impact is allowing us to pay our taxes and run our businesses just like all the other legal businesses, Hendren said. Right now, marijuana companies can't deduct many business expenses from their taxes, including rent, travel, advertising, and most professional services. Frankly, it's a testament to the resilience of the industry that they've been able to be a profitable model, even without 280E tax deductions, said Craig Small, a Denver-based cannabis attorney. But with this coming change, certainly that might immediately increase profits by about 30%. Trump's order moves cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 on the Federal Drug Administration's list of controlled substances. Schedule 1, the most restrictive category under federal law, indicates a high likelihood of abuse and no accepted medical value. Trump said the move reflected that cannabis could have medicinal value even if abuse was still possible. The rescheduling process is predicted to take place during 2026, Small said, but the timeline is still unclear. Nicholas Ranella, CEO of Hippo's Cannabis Company, said it's encouraging to see cannabis operators moving closer to being treated like every other legitimate business. That shift allows us to reinvest in our operations, scale responsibly, and continue delivering world-class products, Ranella said. It's also meaningful to see the federal government begin to align with public sentiment in recognizing the real societal benefits of cannabis. Andrew Mullins, executive director of the Missouri Cannabis Trade Association, said rescheduling properly recognizes cannabis as medicine and allows for greater research of marijuana. Mullins pointed out that marijuana has been listed as a Schedule I drug since 1970, along with heroin, LSD, and ecstasy, because the federal government previously determined that there were no currently accepted medical uses for cannabis. Federal rescheduling of cannabis removes barriers and creates opportunity for the 40 U.S. states, including Missouri, that have legalized medical and/or adult-use cannabis. And no other state in the country is as well positioned as Missouri to take advantage of this reform. Mullins said Missouri's cannabis industry has been called one of the most successful in the entire country. Since Missouri's first legal medical marijuana sale in 2020, he said Missouri has surpassed $4.5 billion in total cannabis sales. In 2024 alone, the Missouri cannabis industry generated $244.93 million in sales tax revenue for state and local governments. Hippo's recently launched the state's first THC oral spray, and the timing couldn't be better for innovation in the space, Ranella said. Cannabis prohibition, he said, represents a relatively short chapter in human history, and the country is approaching a point where history corrects itself. 40 years from now, my grandkids will probably have a harder time understanding that I grew up in an era when cannabis was federally prohibited, Ranella said, than they will understanding that I grew up before the internet existed.
Advocates honor more than 24 unsheltered people who died in 2025. Several of the people honored on Monday were killed by violence, car crashes, or suspected overdoses. And follows is a picture of Jose Avila holding his girlfriend Michaela Sawkill, a gathering of people as they both read names at Monday afternoon Springfield Homeless Persons Memorial. Sawkill said she lived on the streets for quite a few years before getting off 2 years ago, and that she knew many of the people who were named on Monday. This was a December 22nd vigil. Springfield homeless advocates and unsheltered people remembered dozens of individuals who died after spending time on the streets, including about 29 who died in 2025. Friends John Cockrum and Ron Hubbard, who met while living in homeless camps, are now housed. I was out here for 20 years, and there's no way that I would ever turn my back on anyone out here whatsoever, Hubbard said. Cochran told the Daily Citizen that he walked to the vigil so he could make sure Marty Cornwell's name was said. According to Cochran, the 61-year-old was, quote, ornery as heck, but if she had $1, she'd split it with you. We see a picture of Mr. Cochran reading names of the memorial, and as mentioned, he is formerly homeless. Some people in attendance were shocked to learn that Cornwell had died in August. I want their names to be said out loud, so they're not just remembered for being unhoused, organizer Sherry Croney said. They are people, and we need to remember them. The next banner reads, violence, car crashes, and overdoses claimed several lives in 2025. At the vigil, community readers members read the names of at least 2 unsheltered men who were believed to have been murdered in 2025. Philip Farley, 45, was honored at the village after being stabbed to death in February. He had diabetes, which he struggled to control while food insecure, and struggled with his mental health. A pastor who knew Farley told the Daily Citizen he was afraid of dying on the streets. Friends said he was kind, generous, and a loner. And follows is a shot of a gentleman weeping as he listens to the name of other homeless people being read at the vigil. Don Coslow, 50, was found dead in a ditch with 2 gunshot wounds north of Springfield in October of this year. Several people named during the vigil were fatally struck by vehicles. Croney confirmed that Jennifer Collier, Scott Chance, and Daniel White were part of Springfield's homeless community. Other people like Jeff Ramage died this year due to confirmed or suspected overdoses. Ramage's partner previously spoke to the Daily Citizen about harm reduction and the danger of xylazine, an animal sedative used to cut some illicit drugs. Years of survival mode can cause long-term harm. Some of the people honored December 22nd were not unsheltered when they died, but Croney believes that time spent living on the streets contributed to each person's death. She said factors like sleep deprivation, lack of nutrients, exposure to the elements, substance misuse, and stress put unsheltered people in survival mode. And follows is a picture of Sherry Croney, who is the East Eden Village 2 community coordinator, casting a shadow while holding signs bearing names of 2 people who died on the streets of Springfield in the past years. Teresa Terry Ross, 70, died in April of this year. She'd been living in a tiny home at Eden Village since 2018. She was remembered for her love of holidays, her warm hugs, and the people she turned into adopted family. Bobby Rolls, a former Eden Village 2 resident, died at age 56 in June 2025. A Drury University student and Eden Village volunteer named Sophie Ogden attended the village to honor him. She loved her mom a lot. Ogden said the volunteer remembers scrapbooking with Rolls and hearing the woman talk about her mom's favorite flower and color. Now Ogden said she is with her mom. And a mom wants to show that people care. Jesse Urga's 32-year-old daughter, Cynthia Lynn Jones, died in 23 after years of addiction. Her body was discovered in the back seat of the vehicle that she lived in. Urg said she was at the vigil to demonstrate what people who die while homeless are loved and people care. For years, she tried to bring her daughter home, but Jones' struggle with addiction kept leading her back to the street. And follows another picture of some of the attendees with signs of some of the people who were remembered during the vigil. Ulrich hopes that the happy Cynthia is remembered. Her daughter could find the humor in nearly every situation, so everyone would lighten up. She was known to put herself on the back burner to help somebody else. At the time of her death, she was trying to secure housing through Burrell's residential programs, and she wanted the help, and help in this area is hard to find, the mother added, adding that there could be a lot of hoops to jump through. Her advice both for unsheltered people and their loved ones is simply, quote, never give up.
Oh, coming to us from Ozarks first, Springfield man pleads guilty to hijacking a car in front of a deputy. A man from Springfield pleaded guilty in court on Tuesday, December 23rd, to hijacking and stealing a vehicle after a Greene County deputy witnessed him forcing a woman out of her car and threatening her with a gun in 2024. According to online court records, 30-year-old Jacob Gregory pleaded guilty to vehicle hijacking, stealing, and resisting interfering with arrest, detention, or stop. According to previous Ozarks First coverage, on July 1st, 2024, Gregory and another person had hitched a ride with a woman on Chestnut Expressway at National Avenue when Gregory told the woman he had a gun and demanded that she keep driving or else he would shoot her. After the traffic made the woman stop her vehicle, Gregory threatened her again and made comments about taking the vehicle from her. Gregory then got out of the car, at which point a Greene County deputy happened to arrive at the location. The Greene County deputy's dash cam showed Gregory, who didn't seem to be aware of the deputy's presence, pulling the woman out of her vehicle and taking her cell phone, according to the probable cause statement. He was about to drive off with the victim's vehicle when he and the woman noticed the deputy, at which point he handed the victim her phone back. The deputy tried to detain Gregory, but he fled from the scene. He was found sometime later, telling police he didn't do anything wrong and that he didn't have a gun. Gregory is scheduled to be sentenced on March 12, 2026.
And from Steve Pokin's column, Poking Around, a new homeowner says a bright light from the nearby Arby's is like a full moon times 2. The homeowner and Arby's franchise owner don't see eye to eye, but the owner says he'll be putting up shields to help block the light, and it looks like he did so by Tuesday, the 23rd. So you've got your new moon, super moon, harvest moon, and Keone Rogers of Springfield says he has his Arby's moon. And he recently contacted Steve to complain that his neighbor, Arby's at 2225 South Campbell Avenue, had turned day into night. And he's convinced that a few weeks ago management had increased the brightness of the lights in the parking lot. He has been a little bit disappointed in communication with Arby's, but as we just mentioned, it does appear that he has put up some shields to help block the light, and we hope that helps solve the problem. And we'd certainly like to thank you so much for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, here on the store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and the 417 magazine. And listen after we're live on our audio reader network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier on airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Also contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And don't forget to be sure and shop the Blind Community Thrift Store located at 2713 North Kansas Expressway. You will find truly amazing deals Monday through Saturday. Hours are 9 to 6. Help the blind, help the community.
The time is 12 p.m.
Nice timing.
Kissed it.
Nice timing. I was impressed.